Good morning, it is baking day. I just got these two out of the refrigerator. Let's take a look. Ooh, okay, nice. See how she's jiggly? She could be a little jigglier. I'm gonna let her sit here for a minute. Let's see the condensation on this one. I don't know if you can see that. That's why we put that paper towel in there. Oh yeah, and see that the paper towel's wet, so that's good. All right, so remember we talked about stitching yesterday? Well, let's restitch these. We're gonna restitch these. You see how that kind of came apart? You can see where I tried to pinch them together and it didn't all stay together. So I'm gonna redo that. And again, we're trying to create surface tension so that when it goes in the oven, the only way for this bread to go is up. We want it to spring up really high because that's beautiful, right? Oh yeah. And now because she's rested all night and she's cold, she wants to stay together. See? And I don't know if you can tell, but I've got a bubble right there. So I know she's active and she's definitely more jiggly. She's ready. Let's stitch this guy. So I'm pinching, and wow, that's too far. Pinching and pulling, squeeze, pinching, pulling, squeeze, like right across. And then I'm gonna pull up the edges, because he's round, right? Okay, and so this is gonna be the bottom of our loaf. I'm using 2 loaf pans. I got them in Florida on sale at Christmas time. And the way I use them is I use one for the bread and one is the lid. Easy peasy. Or you could be a bougie bitch and get yourself a Dutch oven. See, this one never gets washed because it only goes in the oven. And this is heavy, and I got it on Black Friday last year. But you do not need this. You don't. I thought I did. You don't. This is a Pullman loaf pan. It's the size of an actual loaf of bread from the store. I think it holds 1.5 pounds or 2 pounds. I have to get a new one because the inside of mine has oxidized and it leaves gray on my fingers. And then it leaves gray on my bread, even through parchment. So I have one on my list. I have my oven preheating at 500 degrees or as high as your oven will go. In North Carolina, my oven would only go to 450. So that's what I did it as. And I've decided I'm going to bake this one round, so I'm going to use my Dutch oven, and this one I'm going to bake in a loaf pan. So I'm going to put my Dutch oven in the oven to preheat at the same time because we want it hot. In the oven. I'm going to let that thing preheat for a good half hour. Another specialty item that came in my kit from Amazon was this sling. This is like, instead of using parchment, but it has wings so that you put your loaf on here and lower it down into your Dutch oven, and then the little flaps stick out on the side. So when you try to get it out, you just lift out. Again, you don't need that. You can use parchment. But it's kind of nice, fun little accessory. I'll be back. All right, this is the second most fun part. I think the first most fun part is tasting it. All right, second most fun part, making cool designs on the top of your dough. Completely optional. The reason that people do that is so that it makes it look pretty, right? And also there is science behind the reason that we score our dough. If you don't score your dough with a sharp knife or something, your bread will crack. It will create its own way to eliminate steam. But if you actually slice the dough before putting it in the oven, you've now given a place for that steam to rise, and then it looks pretty. Then you get what the sourdough community calls a beautiful ear, which is where the bread comes up and it makes a little crispy edge. It's pretty. Here's our bread. Here's my parchment. I bought parchment for a friend, and this is what I had left over. So I have the bougie kind, but regular old parchment works. I'm gonna put it on the dough, upside down. We're gonna flip her over. Ready? Isn't she lovely? All right. This is what she's looking like. Can you see her? She's nice and plump, little fat loaf. So if you want your design to stick out and look really pretty, this is what you do. You wet the top a little bit, like get your hand wet and just wet the top. And then you sprinkle it with a little bit of flour. I'm gonna use my dry hand. And then you brush that flour on top so that it looks white. Real sourdough bakers would tell you to use rice flour because, again, rice flour does not get absorbed by the bread dough, so it will stay white for you. And then you can use a knife, or I use, okay, this is a lom. It is just a razor blade. Mine is magnetic, and I keep it kind of on the side of my microwave, so I always have it. And you just push up, and the blade comes out, and then you push down, and it goes away. Up, away. The one I had before, you had to twist, and it was very pretty. It was wooden, gorgeous, had a beautiful leather case. I cut the tip of my finger off, and it still hurts. Okay, so let's score. I think you can see better from this angle. So the first score I'm gonna do is just one long score, and I'm going to angle my razor blade kind of at a 45. I don't wanna go deep like a 90. I wanna go kind of at an angle. I'm gonna start at one end and kind of make a smile. And you can see it separating, see it? So anywhere it doesn't look like it's separating, I'm just gonna go back around. And then when we talked about an ear in the oven, this piece right here, this little flap is gonna curl up and just get crispy, and it's beautiful. All right, so then, because, you know, we're gonna be fancy, why not? We just spent time on this bread. I'm gonna make a little design that looks like a wheat stalk. Flip my dough around so you can see it. So I'm gonna do, not deep, just barely scoring. I'm gonna do one long line, and then I'm gonna do little hashes next to it, and a couple at the top. And then, it doesn't look like much now, but when it goes in the oven, this is gonna separate just a little bit, and it's gonna show that dough from the inside, and it will look beautiful. It really will. Okay, so now this guy's ready. I'm gonna take my pan, pick him up, flop him in. All right, now this one's ready to go. Now the next one is my round one. We're gonna do the same thing, only I'm gonna use my fancy schmancy sling. You don't have to. Oven's ready. Okay, I put it in there, flip. I'm not gonna bother doing any of the flour or anything on this one, and we'll see what the difference looks like. So I'm still gonna score it with the big score. I'm gonna do another smile line, so 45-degree angle, a nice smile around half of the dough. I'm gonna do another wheat stalk. I'll twist this so you can see. Only this time, I'm not gonna put the line down the middle. I'm just gonna do hashes. If you put your hashes too close together, they will run together and you won't be able to see that it's a hash. Okay, so let's get our Dutch oven out. All right, here's my Dutch oven. The lid is hot, be careful. Now I carefully lower my bread in here. Sometimes she gets so fat that she sticks to the sides. All right, one down. Let's put her in. All right, second loaf. I'm going to take this loaf pan, and I'm going to put a piece of parchment in this pan too, because this one will rise, and I don't want it to get stuck to the insides. And I feel like if I put oil in there to keep it from sticking, or Pam spray, it makes it too crispy. I don't know, browns too fast. Ready? Lid on. That's it. I'm gonna stick her in the oven. Our stove is currently at 500. We're going to lower it immediately down to like 450, let's do 435. And let me show you what it looks like in here. See that pan under there? That keeps your loaf pan from getting too brown on the bottom because it's a much thinner bottom than your Dutch oven. All right, we're gonna come check this in about 20 minutes. So I'm gonna set a timer. Alexa, set a timer for 20 minutes.
Good morning, Lori. 20 minutes, starting now.
Okay, the timer just went off. Let's check it out. Okay. Oh, it smells good. All right, first one, let's look. Oh, see that crispy piece? That's gonna be a good ear. So, I don't like mine to be super brown on top, so I'm going to leave that like that. Let's see what this one looks like. Oh, it's pretty too. This one I don't like super brown either, so I just put the parchment back on top and kind of lay it down. That way it doesn't get super crispy. I'm gonna close it up. And she's gonna stay on 435 for another, I would say probably 15, 20 minutes. All right, the timer went off, let's check it. So the best way to find out if your bread, ooh, the steam though. The best way to find out if your bread is done is with a thermometer. Oh, I guarantee that one's done. Look at that ear. She is beautiful. Cooked bread dough should be between 190 and 200 degrees internally. So I stick my thermometer in there. Oh, looky there. I would say she's good, 192. So let's get this one out. Our second loaf was a little larger, I think, and so I don't know that it's done yet, but let's take its temperature. Yeah, it's not ready. I can feel it inside. See? Yeah, and when I pull it out, you can see the crud. There's still dough in there. So we leave her alone and let her take another rest. Goodbye, Dolene. But we're gonna take this one out and let her cool. Okay, here she is. Look at her. See where she expanded in that smile line that we created? Ooh. And the top, see her design? She's not burnt on the bottom at all. And she sounds hollow. Hot. All right, so I'm gonna put her on this cooling rack and cover her up. I wanna let her sit for a while and let that steam continue to cook the inside. Okay, we're back and we've got both loaves. Here's loaf number one, the round one. Here's loaf number two. Let's dump her out. All right, so remember we put the pan underneath in the oven so that the bottom of this one would not burn. And if you remember, oh God, that's hot. If you remember from the other one, it was pretty light. This one is darker, but it's not burnt. Look at that. And she's ready too. Okay, you've been with me from start to finish. We started with feeding our sourdough starter from the refrigerator, letting it sit out all night. Then the next day we mixed up our dough and did a series of stretch and folds. And then in the evening, hours later, we put it in the refrigerator and let it sit overnight. And now we just did our last day. We've baked 2 beautiful loaves of bread. We're gonna let them sit here for a few hours. They're going to be fantastic. They smell so good. You want to see what it looks like inside? Because I do. I also want to taste it. Let's go. She's going to be soft. Oh. She's perfect. There we go. Look at all those nooks and crannies, and it's so soft. That little bit of oil really makes that outer crust less hard, because it can get pretty leathery and it can hurt your teeth sometimes. My kids prefer it like this too. Look, I had one big air bubble there. I should have popped that. It looks pretty good. I'm impressed. I hope you enjoy making sourdough as much as I do. And if you have any questions, let me know.